People, thought I'd do a quick live. Um, yeah, left a little late, so now I'm running behind a little bit, maybe about 20 minutes or so. About 30 minutes. I'm running behind a little 30 minutes, but caught in this traffic. You caught my live yesterday. You'll know I'm actually in the process of going to work, but before I go to work, what's going on too, Raw? What's going on with you, bro? So before I get ready to go to work, I'm actually about to go do some money. About to go make some money before I go to work. Hopefully it's a little quick thing. My job, as long as I get there before 10, they don't complain. I mean, majority of the time about 9:30, that's when they start to get worried because, uh, my route is a distance. Boss lady, what's going on with you? Tamika in the building. But the route I have is a distance route, so they typically get a little worried when I ain't there at a certain time. I ain't got no straw, but a piece of food in my mouth. Watch y'all see me picking in my teeth. But yeah, man, I'm about to get ready to. What's going on, Tamika? If you didn't hear me, boss lady, two Raw, what's going on with you? Raw with it. Uh, Everybody gonna make me some extra money, man. Got a little side job I'm finna get ready to go do. And once I hit that, then I'm gonna go clock in my regular job, bust that down. And today is Tuesday, so no, not that one. But tomorrow I got another little side gig I'm gonna do after work. You know, this one ain't as bad. The other one might have to use my pickup truck. Might have to go grab something for somebody. Like I told you, like easy money with the pickup truck. Like anytime I pull that truck out and go pick something up, my starting rate $75. Okay, yeah, I ain't want to say it, but I was gonna hit you on the back end, but okay, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. Hey, all good things, man. All things work itself out. All it takes is time, man. Take time and blessings. What's going on, Ray? What's going on with you, man? Uh, you know, for a lot of people, even with people that I know in the ministry I used to be around, I don't hang around that way that much, but more or less, that's why I more talk about finance and getting things structured because my thing is this, Raw, me and we always used to have our debates online and, you know, it wasn't nothing that I was coming from a point of bashing women, but, we had our debates coming from a point of seeing things for what they really was when it came to the men and women dynamic. And we always had that conversation and we always, it was all good fun, good flavor, because we would always come from a point of understanding. There was no bashing amongst you. What's going on, Alonzo? No bashing amongst me. It was always good times because we both brothers trying to get an understanding of each other's thoughts. So all right, that's what's up. We can do that. And it was always a thing for us when we have our conversations was to get an understanding. I got from your viewpoint, you got from my viewpoint, and it was always an understanding. It was no point of me trying to bash you, humiliate you, and that's the type of things I wanted to get away from. I wanted to have a conversation where we can focus more on the points where you can understand where I'm coming from. I can understand where you coming from. And a lot of people, we just couldn't have that talk because everybody wanted to go one way, and it's always a thing to where what's going on, Bronze? When you have a civil conversation, you're coming in with the point of trying to understand and listen what's going on. And a lot of people really don't come at the conversation like that. A lot of people are coming at the conversation ultimately as a prize fight to win. And you proving your point is one thing, but having someone to have an understanding why you feel this way or why you think this way, and they understand, that's the win for me. You know, when you start going through the trauma of what happened in your past, you know, and have that understanding why you come to this point or advantage in your life, then okay, I can understand you a little better. You know, having situations to where a lot of us, you know, we're not looking at the side of more or less what I talk about with finance. You can have the argument about men and women all day, but if your money ain't right, you not probably not 10 times out of 10 not gonna be in a relationship. I mean, a good strong man honestly will not take a woman, no matter how fine she is, to a degree, I should say, because you got the difference between men and males, that if a man is on his purpose, no matter how fine that woman looks, if she can't, you know, have an understanding that, you're trying to grow and do something with your life, that probably not be the woman for you. Because understand, I can be with any woman to a degree, but you gotta have certain things like you gotta have your personals taken care of. Shout out to Love Dorsey. Like I always tell people, Love Dorsey been Kevin Samuels before Kevin Samuels. But you gotta have your personals together. You gotta be able to have some level of finance and understanding to where if we get in a relationship, you know not to spend all the money. You know to have a budget. Same thing with the women. Women want men with the same concept. You got to be able to pay some bills. Contrary to most men, hey, this that soft girl image, and a lot of guys, they got their soft man image now. Oh, the lady in the building, what's going on? April Showers, how you doing? How you living? How you feeling? But you got men that are out here in a soft man era that they pretty much want to be pampered. And I'm like, dude, I mean, I can understand the balance of we going 50-50, we working on things. If a man had 100%, that's like my wife. I told my wife when I had it to go 100% and pay all the bills, I did. But it was things, that was going on with the relationship where she had to end up going back to work because I wanted to be home more with my kids and take less of a pay. What's going on, Shayla? What's going on with you? And that was the thing, when it come down to it, can't highlight, but boss just said hey to everybody. Yeah, soft man hair. You know that I got that from a lady by the name of Stay Hall. She is on YouTube. She is a life coach. Man, I thought that was somebody. That's a telemarketer. These people be killing me. But yeah, Stay Hard. Check out her channel, and she talks about a lot of things about the mental. And that's what I like, because nobody's having these conversations of how we got to this point, how the men got to the point of wanting to feel a certain way. I mean, it was always understood with me. I'm a man, and needless to say, I know this gonna rub some men feathers with this, and women might get a little like, no, it's not like that. Nobody cares. And more or less, the women are starting to, you see women nowadays are starting to step up and say, we do care about y'all. We want to be in y'all life. We want this and we want that. But I already came up with the understanding that nobody cared. So you in this to, do it for yourself. You in this to make things happen. And overall, you're, I mean, you gotta have thick skin when it come down to it, because, I mean, honestly, the men back in the day, we were all told to, hey, problems happen, you got to find a solution, make a way. You know, if you're in a relationship, you got to take care of that woman, take care of them kids. Like I told my wife when I first got with her, it was already understood. She had 2 kids. If I didn't want to deal with those kids, I didn't need to deal with her. It was already understood. I seen relationships like that when I was young, you know, and needless to say, it's always a point to where men are in relationships taking care of other men's kids. Because the whole deadbeat dad argument, we can push that along with, uncles and granddaddies. Uncles, family members, they taking care of their nieces and whomever kids and stuff. Then, from a point of that too, just men in general getting in relationship with these women taking care of the kids. So it's like this whole dynamic and argument. Mello, what's going on? Man, I wish I would have did this on Wisconsin so I can drop the link. But it comes to a point, man, like, that's why I say I try to focus more on the finance, because like the gender topics, it's going to always be a discussion about this. And I was looking at a video I was about to share too, where they was talking about the Roe versus Wade, to where the whole dynamic of this gender war stuff, nobody's stopping it. Like, the men are not having the point of being in a relationship with women. And like I say, a lot of this stuff is just internet. A lot of it is really internet, because it's being promoted. And when it comes down to it, I was like, man, I ain't signing up for this, because at the end of the day, despite all the stuff that they say, like, I beat the odds. Well, most of the guys that talk about in different spaces how men shouldn't mess with women with kids and this and that, like, I did it. I'm still married. I'm not having a problem in my relationship. And most guys will say, well, your wife's Jamaican, this and that. I'm like, dude, my wife is just as American as apple pie. She been here since she was 6. She got all the American ways. She literally got all of them. She choose to have a certain standard. Her family is, just about converting as much. The last string in the family that's holding everything together is her grandma, which is, the great grandma. She 94. Love that lady to death. I always go over there and talk with her. Old ladies be shaming, bruh. Like, it's funny. She always get on me about being big. I was like, mama. That's everybody call her mama. I'll be like, man, all right, mama. I'm gonna lose some weight. She be keeping me on my toes. But the thing is, shout out to the dudes online that I, talked to. And it was crazy because we had a sit down with a guy, and the sit down turned out with me too, because, hey, shout out to Big Duke. Big Duke came at me hard in the paint. Him, underrated, Gold Professor. They was like, hey, brother, you got them boys. How long you think you gonna be on this planet? Well, you keep eating up everything. Go Professor, man. He stay on top of me about that. Pause, for the people out here. But it's always a thing to where you have good brothers that, we have conversations and respect each other and, looking out for one another. I met some great dudes online, just like I have friends out, offline. I have good friends that are online that, pretty much, I think Gold P the only one I met, and Kane. Gold P, Kane, and a dude named Smooth. I met those 3 dudes offline. And then, the Soil family, I met everybody there. Everybody from Broke Farmer. That was the only person I knew of. I met Bobby. I knew Micro. I met him, but never really talked to him. We had a little small conversation. Had a small conversation about a lot of people. And I'm going back to the Soil family meetup this year too. April the 5th through the 7th at in Savannah. It's the Soil family. And a lot of people, man, like, at first I went with the attention thing, man, it might be just for gardeners, but everybody kept telling me, hey, it's not just for gardeners. It's for people that on YouTube never really met. They sit down, learn a couple things about gardening and outdoing and stuff too, but at the same time, get some real friends and, hey, yeah, that's true. Friends that hold you accountable, you know, because, hey, man, honestly, if you ain't got no friend that tell you messing up or tell you, hey, man, do better, like, what type of people you dealing with in life? My friends, they literally don't like me for that because they always say I do it at the wrong time. Like, I'm literally the friend that says it right when it happened. I told you so. And my friends be like, man, I don't want to hear that right now. Like, man, one of my partners, his girl cheated on let's just say his brother. And dude got upset, kicked the girl out the house, all this. And right when it happened, I'm like, dang, bro, why you wilding out? Oh, man, she cheated on me, she this and that. I said, but dude, you cheated on her 3 times. And she's still here? Man, I don't want to hear all that. I said, come on, bro. You cheated 3 times, she cheated 1 time, and you acting like this? Really, bro? And he like, man, I don't want to hear all that, man. Man, go on with all that, bro. You need to go ahead for me and you get to fight. I told him, I said, bro, you get mad all you want to, but I promise you, you don't want these problems. You just stay over there just talking. That's your best bet, because I promise you don't want these problems. I ain't gonna hurt you that bad because you a little smaller than me. I might catch a case or something like that, beating on a little small guy like that. But at the same time, though, I'm telling dude that he can't take the heat. And a lot of guys be that way. Women be that too, but more or less, when it comes to relationships, men are far more emotional that way. That's why I say, when it come down to it, man, like my friends, they really don't like me when we talk about stuff like this. Because like I tell them, point blank, I'm like, dude, it is what it is. Like, you literally shouldn't be doing this stuff if you don't want the outcome. Now, if he didn't cheat and she did that to him, it'd have been a 100 all day. Man, that's messed up. Man, she did you like that. That's wrong. But for him to get into the relationship, cheat 3 times, and she just take it on the shoulder, and then him to do that, I'm like, hey, you wrong. And I call it out all day, 100%, every single time. Because my thing is this. If he didn't cheat, he had every means to kick out. 10 times out of 10, most people, get back in that relationship. It's crazy. I never understand that. Why get into a relationship like that? It's crazy to me. But like I say, overall, people just have that, type of feeling. What's going on, Tap? And people have these feelings with each other, then it's just too much. That's why I say I try to more or less talk about money and finance, because like I said, at the end of the day, we can say what we want, do all this talking, but in the end, if you don't have no money, if you want to be with me, you got to get a J-O-B. What they say, no romance without finance. See, a lot of times those songs came out pushing, the relationship has to be monetary, like what you can do for me, and the money you got determines the status in our relationship, determines this, determines that. Like, hey, why the relationships aren't built on love? Love is out the door. Ain't no more love. It's like what you can do for me. But then you look at the points of reference is this, when they come down to it, a lot of us, we bump heads so much because, we stubborn from the stuff that our parents did to us. Like, how many parents literally set you down and told you at some point in life you're going to fail? And you're going to have to find a way to get yourself back together. My uncle set me down and told me, he said, man, you married, make it work. Not being no sucker now. He said, don't be no sucker. but make it work. And he said, you got to have an understanding what you understand what make it work means. I can't tell you that. He said, just like to the point, I can tell you the things that I learned to be a man, but when it come down to it, you got to learn how to be a man for you. You got to be the man for you. I am the man for me. There's no real logical. You can look at the keys that somebody else did in order to be successful and follow it. Everything you can do it to the blueprint, far as money wise, everything. But their success is different than yours. I mean, being in this society might be the color of your skin. Might be your gender. If you're a woman, you might can't go far as a man. So we know these things. That's why we have to, always try to beat the odds. Because, I mean, say the least, every woman wanted what their grandparents had, what their mom had. Those days are gone. Men don't move like the men back in the day. Just like the women literally don't move the way the women used to move back in the day. I had talks with men all the time. We always talk about having a modern woman with traditional values. And a lot of women don't understand that when men talk about stuff like that, and the vice versa. It's the same thing for the men. The men want traditional standards, but they carry themselves as modern as well. And then to a degree, that's where we always clashing. The way our grandparents was raised, like, they didn't have cell phones like this. Like, our parents had cell phones. They didn't have social media. The vein of social media has knocked a lot of people out of place of being successful, even in life and in relationships. Because you got to understand, all it takes is a good girl to go bad is to see a post of somebody else's life and they want that life. Same thing with a dude to get on that post and see that girl that he liked or the body shape that he liked. Because, I mean, and it's too, a lot of times, a lot of women they don't hear this, and we talk about this, but it's not really no understanding about it. And it's pretty much like the one guy said, the women that with the BBLs, those are just the women that the dudes like typically want to play around with. A lot of them typically don't get wiped up like that unless that's what they into. A lot of guys just want a wholesome looking good woman, And then you have the ones that wants the surgery instead of the natural, because that's what's pushed now. You got to understand, like, all these things that men are going after is what pushed. The same thing with women. You know how many women always went after, because if we going traditional with the women always went after a hard-working man. Most of the guys that typically were in trades, electrician, plumbers, truck drivers, all these professions, they were good, hard-working men, came home, paid the bills, did everything the right way. The Color Purple story, like, man, you know how many women literally got beat like that in The Color Purple? For real. There was never a big thing where people talked about how they boycotted that movie when it first came out. And look how the second one flopped. In this modern time, for one, I heard it was a musical. I didn't watch it. I had no desire to watch it. Only reason I watched the first Color Purple was because being a kid, you watch what your parents watch. You watch what the adults watch in there. If you didn't want to watch that, you went and played or went to bed. So watch that. Don't even remember the full memory of. I remember clips and stuff, and then see clips. But other than that, like, it wasn't really as what people saying it was back in the day like that. It was yes, of course, it was people who beat on women. Yes, it was, of course, there was guys who were, abusers, users, whatever you want to call it, but it wasn't, all the men wasn't like that. Like I said, the point of reference, a lot of men work hard. They, traditionally took care of the families, had two jobs. My great granddaddy had two jobs. Two jobs. Get off of one job, come home, switch up, go to the night job. So when did he sleep? In between times, he had a break, he'll sleep. Get his little sandwich or something, like the restaurant thing. It wasn't a lot of the building table was going on. What's going on? Go pee building. When it come down to it, man, it was a lot of people who, worked back in the day. They were just, surviving, making ends meet. They wasn't going out to eat like that. Now you have a slew of restaurants. These restaurants are going big. They putting all kind of stuff in our food. Man, I just found out Chick-fil-A finna start putting antibodies in the food. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm gonna look it up. But the point of it is, when you see stuff like that, you gotta be able to have a understanding to go look this stuff up. The guy on YouTube, this is a Muslim guy, I forgot his name, where he talked about there were 40-something man-made ingredients in Popeye's chicken sandwich, but nobody talked about the 50-something that was in Chick-fil-A. And we have these back and forth about relationships, politics, all this, but we're not looking at the stuff that is in plain sight. What we eating, what we buying from the store is being harmful. Like I said, that's why more or less I try to focus more on the money conversations, because even if you in a relationship or not, you need money to survive. You need money to pay bills. Like, we literally, in some places, people don't even have nowhere to stay because it's too expensive. I've known people who stayed at extended stays, pay $1,800 a month, but can't afford an apartment for $1,200. You gotta have that deposit. I talked about this yesterday, how the guy up in Connecticut work a full-time job. And it's not like he's making $7 an hour up north. It's like their minimum wage start anywhere from $12 to $15 in some places. Fast food, I'm talking about fast food making that. And then you talk about the understanding of the fast food making that much money, then go into it to where you literally have like the corporate jobs, they're making a little more, upwards of $20 or better. So this guy working at a warehouse, full-time job, he said, man, I can't even afford to stay where I stay at. He said, I'm about to be homeless. I'm staying in the extended stay. They're about to go up on the rates. I have to compete every week to make sure I have somewhere to stay. And I'll have a full-time job. The system is not making it affordable for us, but yet we want to be online complaining about the women, complaining about the men, talking about what the relationship. You ain't got to worry about a relationship status, because everybody's going to be sleeping in the cardboard box. The people who got it, they're going to survive. The people who don't got it, they're gonna have hardships. They're going to perish of hardships. Like, literally not being able to have yourself adjusted and equipped it to the new society standards that I always talk about, because it's coming. Like, people worrying about relationships, that's going to be the least of their worries when it comes to food. Hold on. Hey, Gold P. Hey, man. I'm gonna let that one slide. I'm gonna let that one slide. Hey, but like I said, man, it's like the least of our worries to where we sitting up here worried about relationships, the dynamics of that. Worried about who wear this, who got this, who do this. Man, I'm telling you, when that hammer drops, everybody's gonna be terrified. When that hammer drops, everybody's gonna be terrified because it's gonna be to a point to where you ain't gonna be able to catch up. Inflation is already killing us to the point where I was looking at I think it was BGS talking about this the other day. Was talking about the rate on houses where you used to could buy a house with your salary back in the 60s and 70s at 6 to 7%. Now it takes about 37% for you to buy a house of your salary. You know, you're able to afford a house, a car, and the white picket fence. Now it's getting harder for you to get all that. I mean, we can have the dynamics of arguing, relationships all day long. Yeah, we can have the arguments of the relationships all day long, but when it comes down to it, it's like having that understanding. Like we literally hit a fork in the road when it comes to that, because all of us technically have our issues, but nobody wants to come to a point to say, "Hey, you deal with me, I deal with you. Let's make it work." Or even if that, make more money and defend for yourself. There are some people that, hey, they don't want to have a relationship. I'm not mad at you. But to the point, if you don't want a relationship, you got to be able to make more money and, take care of yourself. I never have a point of contingency where I'm saying everybody has to be in a relationship. There are some people that just don't need to be in a relationship. So technically, being by yourself, Mr. No, you want to be Mr. No, then hey, you Mr. No. You just like, hey, leave me alone. Shots fired. But leave me alone. Nobody deals with me, I deal with myself. And everybody's cool with that. Whether it be man or female, hey, it gets to a point to say, hey, I'm good, but I can take care of myself. I don't need a significant other to do things for me. I can do things on my own. And it comes to that point to where sometimes you might have to do things on your own. So, needless to say, I'm about to get off here. But let me go ahead and jump off of here. I'm getting a call, keep coming through. I'll see who this person is. But shout out to everybody that came through. Once again, hey, just having a conversation. About to go make me some money, then go to work. But, understanding, I'll holler at you guys later. Peace. We here, we gone.